What's going on, everyone? Tomorrow we are set for one of the biggest days of the week. As this is happening, we have the S&P 500 at its highest level since April of 2022, and we have the most important week ahead of us than we've seen in a while. So you better stick around to the end. We have some great setups for tomorrow and the rest of the week, and some important information that you will not want to miss. So with that being said, Tom, let's get right into it.
Man, this was one of the best days that I've seen in the stock market in a long, long time. If we actually go to my watch list here on the left side of the screen, just look at some of these stocks to the upside here. XPEV plus 11%, SoFi, CCL, Carnival Cruise Lines has been blowing me away lately on their daily charts. I saw they actually had some upgrades today. If you guys are looking for some momentum, these cruise lines have been on fire the past few days, along with those big airlines. But man, Mike, it was even amazing to see Microsoft, Apple, and others start to really come back, because early on this morning at open, specifically Microsoft was starting to look pretty rough, really selling off. But it was very good to see us get back up to this high. And I've actually been talking about a big resistance on the SPY at 432 for a while now. If we go out to that hourly chart and I go, well, I guess more of a daily chart, really, you can see how that big resistance has been there at 432 in the past. We had a lot of problems getting up through there today on the 5-minute chart, and on Friday. You can see there was a lot of price action right around that resistance, but it was a good break today, Mike. And hey, it looks like the market's just continuing the uptrend it's been in here for the past 6 months or so now.
Beautiful. And for those of you who are not up to speed on why this week is so important, Tom, fill us in. We have like 2 major events that are extremely, extremely important.
Yeah, exactly. So the market's flying up right now, and these events could really change everything. So tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time, 1 hour before the market opens, we're going to get the inflation report, and it's going to give us the year-over-year inflation rate, CPI data, and other stuff like that. With the inflation rate year over year, Mike, it's at 4.9% on the last reading. They're expecting on the consensus 4.1%. That is a huge drop, 0.8% to the downside. That would show that inflation's really still falling down for us. And I think the market is actually kind of bracing, and we had some good price action today off of that hope that we're going to actually have that drop there. And then I think that that'll actually influence some of the decisions the next day on Wednesday, whenever the Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell speaks, and we get that interest rate decision, where it looks like we're actually going to be pausing. Look, there was a 78.1% chance of it pausing as of right now, being priced in. But man, Mike, these events could change everything tomorrow. I'm curious if this 78.1% number starts to change a lot after that reading, because if the inflation numbers don't come in around expectations, that could really change things there.
Exactly. And, to elaborate even further, basically the Federal Reserve has been raising interest rates non-stop lately. And this is actually the first time where they're expected to just do nothing. They're not expected to raise interest rates, and they're not expected to lower them either. They're just expected to keep them exactly where they are. And we can see that there's a 78.1% chance of that. But just like Tom said, the inflation reading is so important, because let's say inflation is a lot hotter than everyone expects, then there's actually a decent chance that we could see the Federal Reserve not, just keep rates where they are, but actually continue to rise them even more. And if that's the case, the market probably will not like that. So basically everything is set up for this inflation reading and the FOMC interest rate event. It's going to be so important. I literally cannot even say it enough. That's why I keep repeating myself, but it's so important. So buckle up tomorrow, guys. Tomorrow is going to be a hell of a day. And Tom, as we look at the market, it looks like investors are pretty optimistic heading into the event. We saw a bunch of bullish buying pressure today. A lot of the big tech stocks had an amazing day as well. And overall, it's, pretty good right now.
Yeah, it is. Like Apple almost hit their all-time high. I know they hit it a couple weeks ago, and they're getting right back up to that big level around 185. And I will say, Mike, that level up there at 185 on Apple is going to be huge. If we are able to break out of some of these recent highs with some of these stocks like Apple, Google, Microsoft, and etc., we're going to continue to see these indices like the SPY, the QQQ continue to run. And one thing that I really saw today that made me really see that 185 was a huge level, was the book map. Man, it was awesome. There was a ton of sellers stacked up at 185 all day today, and even the past few days. We've been seeing a lot of sellers stacked up there. Obviously, the past trading days, not over the weekend, but it's awesome to see that. This is a big number, Mike, 185, and we're going to have to see how this holds up tomorrow. I mean, you can just see right here on the chart, that big red line represents all those sellers there. And even in after hours here, there's 46,000 shares stacked up still. I mean, that's even in after hours. During the day, let's actually scroll over, see what it was. It was more like 391,000. So that is quite the area there.
No doubt. And then another thing to keep in mind is, like, even if we look further, we can see there's a little bit of a wall at like 186 as well. But like you said, that main wall is right at 185, and it's going to be pretty tough to break through. But it'll all depend on the data we get tomorrow and Wednesday, because if it's good enough, that can just put on the rocket burners, and we can see some of these stocks go up even more than they are. But at the same time, if this data comes in bad and Jerome Powell is not feeling too optimistic, everything can turn on a dime. And, as they say, stocks take the stairs up and the escalator down. So here we go.
Yeah, it's going to be huge. Jerome Powell speaking is always very important. We're going to have to look at his tone, everything like that. It can always change everything, as we know. And today was just an amazing day overall. Like I said, Mike, we bring up my watch list here. There's just so many green stocks. One of them that I noticed today that was doing very well was Oracle. It was up 5.99% into earnings tonight. And they actually had very good earnings here. They're flying to the upside in after hours, up above $120. They have been on quite the uptrend. Whenever I start to look at these numbers, they beat on EPS, they beat on revenue. Their revenue grew 17% year over year, which is fantastic. So, hey, it's looking good right now for Oracle, Mike. They beat on pretty much everything here, which is exactly what you want to see, especially for a big tech stock like them that has been running up lately. They have been on quite the run over the past month or so.
Yeah, and then scroll to the top of the article as well. I saw a bullet point saying that during this quarter, some of Oracle's cloud services actually received approval for use at U.S. defense and intelligence agencies. So that's always a good thing to hear. And, like you said, the stock's moving to the upside in a pretty good way. And they were running all day long, even before earnings. So make sure to keep a close eye on this one. It's not as crazy as, like, Tesla or Nvidia or anything like that, but you still do get some pretty solid opportunities out of this one every now and then.
Yeah, exactly. And it looks like they're actually hitting all-time highs as well. If we go to that all-time chart, they're actually really moving up in after hours there. So good for Oracle, good for their investors. I will say, though, on that daily chart, they are starting to seem very overextended, Mike. They almost seem even more overextended than Nvidia. Granted, though, Nvidia had a higher percentage move. Speaking of some of these other tech stocks that are up a lot right now, like Oracle, I kind of want to look at Nvidia because it's like, man, Mike, we have all these tech stocks running to the upside still. They're sitting right at this key resistance around 395, 396. We have the QQQ running up and breaking out. It's like these stocks are just nonstop moving up right now, but at some point, I feel like they're going to fall over. Like we've been beating on this for a long time and it hasn't happened yet, but just be ready out there because who knows, maybe Powell will be exactly what we need to start that downtrend.
I feel like if we look back a year ago from today, many stocks were just taking a beating. Whether you're looking at Nvidia in June of 2022 when the stock was at like $158 a share, or you're looking at some of these growth companies or just the market overall. And to now look at some of these other stocks that, have recovered in a great way, like I'll go back to Nvidia and some of these big tech stocks, making, in some cases, new all-time highs. It just goes to show you how crazy the market is. And, also, it shows you a lot of things. You should be holding long-term stocks, but it shows you that sometimes unexpected things happen. And it actually happens more than you'd think in the market. And the good thing is that there's actually a lot of opportunity in those situations. So this week, like I already said a bunch of times, will be so important. So let's seize the opportunity, guys. Most weeks like this week are presented with a bunch of great moves, in some cases unexpected events. But like I said, opportunity comes with that. So let's have an amazing week.
Yeah, let's do it. I mean, it's awesome. These growth stocks are really moving. It's making for a lot of intraday opportunities. I've seen some amazing trades in the profits channel of the Discord. I've been seeing a lot of amazing things out there. Manny's been killing it, man. Another $4,000 day today for him in the profits channel on Discord. Look at that. Shout out to Manny there. He's been fantastic lately. But man, it's awesome to see these stocks moving up, Mike. And, talking about some of these bigger tech stocks like Tesla, that was actually going to be my first play for the plays for tomorrow. So figured I'd mention it now. Looking at them, they're right around this big $250 resistance. And that's obviously a big level, but we did hit like just above it the other day, 251, 252. If we're able to get above this level with some velocity tomorrow, I will be watching this one for continued calls. It's amazing what this tech sector is doing. It's nonstop and it just cannot be slowed down right now.
All righty. Unless Powell decides otherwise.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's Wednesday though, Mike. That's not tomorrow.
Yeah, true. All right. Another stock I'm watching pretty closely is Intel. So Intel actually had a fantastic day, and they actually have some resistance coming up around $33.84, and also some resistance right around $34. But they had a pretty solid day with just bullish momentum all day long. So I'm going to be watching this one closely to the upside for tomorrow for a potential continuation play.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I was going through Intel's news all day long, trying to find something big with them because it was just an amazing run, and I couldn't find anything. Maybe it's just continuations off that NVIDIA rumor that we heard where NVIDIA's CEO said they might be open to a partnership or something like that. So keep Intel on the radar. It's definitely been on a good run. And another stock that's been on a pretty good run, at least the past couple of days, is Shopify. I noticed today they just broke above a big resistance around $65, and they're kind of holding there. So if they're able to break above the high of day, right at like 65.60, I'm going to go ahead and look at some calls. That was a good move today. I do think it's overextended, but at the same time, you can't go against these calls right now unless, something overall happens in the market, which could happen on Wednesday or even tomorrow with that CPI data. But I'm definitely leaning towards calls right now, given all this momentum we've been seeing.
All right. And then another one watching is, you guys probably already know, but it's Zoom. This stock is like a gnat. It's like, it'll have a great day and it'll show some awesome momentum, and then sometimes it'll continue up. Other times it'll just do nothing and then fizzle out. But it has been holding up very, very well over like the past couple weeks and months. We are just yet to see, the old Zoom come back, back in the 2020 days where it would just rise nonstop. Zoom, they have some resistance right around $70 a share, also some resistance around $72 a share, but they are pretty oversold still. They're showing signs of a pop back up, and I will have it on close watch to the upside for tomorrow. Honestly, the easiest way to trade this one is, either like selling put options on it or just buying shares. But every now and then they make for an awesome day trade as well.
Yeah, I love them. I mean, it's been on quite the run lately. These stocks have been great. And, I love how you mentioned the shares, Mike. And I think that over the past 6 months, seeing these stocks like AMD, NVIDIA, Meta, even Palantir, some of those types of stocks that are up a lot lately, that just goes to show that it's very important to continue to average into these stocks and get those shares for the long term. And I think Zoom still had a pretty competitive price, Mike. They haven't really recovered up a ton yet. They're up quite a bit from 60, but it's nothing like any of these stocks that are up a 100, 200% from lows right now. So I think it's actually a really good opportunity for shares.
Yep. All righty. Well, Tom, it is now time for the momentum plays. With the first one, we have Disney to the upside.
DIS. I'm glad to see them recovering up today. Go ahead and make them break out above $93.25, just above that high of day. Man, they really rocketed up towards close.
All right. With the next one, we have one that was kind of stolen from you, which is Shopify.
Yeah, Shopify. Love that. 65.60 up there, just above that 65.50 area. That should be a pretty good one. If we look at this one on the daily, like I said, it's a little overextended, but as it's starting to break this recent high, I mean, it is insanely bullish here. And there's so many stocks breaking highs lately. I could definitely see these continuing.
All right, and then with the last one, we have ExxonMobil, but to the downside.
Yeah, these oil plays have been a little rough lately here. Go ahead and make them fall under 105.50. It's not the low of day, just under there, but it's a pretty big support.
All right, so we have that downside level on Exxon. If it breaks below that, we're watching it for puts. And then we have the upside levels on Shopify and Disney. If they break above those levels, we are watching them for calls. But it is now time for the big money $2.579 million trade of the day. And we are looking at none other than BABA. Ticker symbol BABA. Someone dumped basically $2.58 million into the BABA 100 strike call options that expire on October 20th of 2023. This is a very interesting setup for multiple different reasons. The stock is very oversold, but it has been making higher lows recently, which is a good sign. These call options are a little bit far out of the money though, which makes the whole setup a little bit more risky, but overall it's not bad. I would just say it's very interesting.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know what to think of these China stocks. Sometimes we'll see some big money plays come through with them, and then they'll get some crazy news or something and start blasting or falling out of nowhere. I would think that these were covered calls at the $100 strike there, given how far out of the money it is. But at the same time, like, if this stock starts to move up towards 100, those things will blast to the upside if we get close to there. So it's one of those plays that makes me scratch my head and go, hey, is the big money like, are they risking it on this one, or are they obviously going with like a really safe covered call type play? I would think they might be risking it given the good support bounces we're seeing down here. And there has been some pretty good optimism out of China lately. I know that these China stocks have had some pretty decent price action, at least lately. I know they had some pretty bad downtrends in late April, but ever since this support bounce, they've been moving up pretty well.
All right, well, we will see. Either way, keep a close eye on this one. Whenever someone dumps this much money into an option, it's definitely worth tracking. But while we're on the topic of big money trades, I also want to give a shout out to today's member of the day, which is Billo. You've been in the Stocked Up Discord for around 7 months now, and you've been pretty active, and you've been asking some pretty good questions. So huge shout out to you. Thank you for the support. But Tom, I'm pretty excited for this whole week, honestly. We should see some pretty awesome moves, and the market has definitely started out on a pretty good note. You've been holding out on us for one thing, Tom, and that is the earnings for the week. So what do we have on the schedule?
Yeah, well, honestly, after today, there's really only one left. But so we had Oracle tonight. They're moving up pretty well. Did okay. Now to Tuesday, Wednesday, we don't really have anything. Aora Cannabis, ACB maybe, Ammo Incorporated if you're into like the gun stocks or anything like that. But other than that, the only thing is really Thursday with Kroger and Adobe. So mainly there were 3 big stocks this week: Oracle, Kroger, Adobe. Thursday is going to be a pretty big day for that, Mike. But what I'll say is that I don't really expect these earnings to move the overall market too much, just their individual stocks. It's not like Apple or anything like that. Plus, it's coming right after Powell speaks, the day before. So it's going to be a pretty, I think it's going to get pretty blown over by the overall market.
Gotcha. Alrighty, well, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe. When you subscribe, you'll see our videos recommended to you more often. And I hope you guys are ready, because this week will be an exciting one.